Hey everybody, it's Mama M from the Pagan Mama and Mama M's Bell Book and Candle in Carson City, Nevada. I apologize first of all for the lighting in here because this is terrible, but it is now Wednesday night and I am just getting around to getting this Medium Mondays video done. So I'm kind of half in my jammies, half with my makeup on, and wholly trying to get this done. So I am here today answering your questions that you have submitted through all of the different ways that you can find me, which will be listed at the bottom of this video as always. We are talking about spirits. We are talking about dead people, whatever you would like to call them. They are embodiments on the other side of a curtain, and I am doing my best to answer your questions through my experiences throughout my own life. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start out tonight with a question from the lovely Nona Ray, who is a frequent question asker, frequent questioner. Yeah, and my English is not that awesome when I've had a couple of glasses of wine, and I will admit to that because it has been a long day. So Nona says, did you ever doubt your abilities? That should not even be a past tense question. I still doubt my abilities. I doubt them all the time. And I don't know if any of you are watchers of the Long Island Medium, Teresa Caputo. I love her. She's hysterical. When she says something to somebody and they go, I can't believe you said that because such and such or whatever. And she goes, shut up. That is exactly how I feel when I say something, because it's like I get this push to go, say this, and the first thing I do is go, no, leave me alone. I don't want to say that. And if I finally allow myself to say that, it usually really takes somebody by surprise that I knew that when I shouldn't know that. Just a quick example, I was doing a face-to-face reading in my store the other day, and right as we began, I said to the lady, I keep hearing the word Rudy, and I don't know what that means. And she looked at me kind of like I was nuts. And so then, of course, I was filled with total self-doubt through the whole rest of the reading. And when I got done, I said, are you sure that the word Rudy doesn't mean anything to you? And she said, well, my maiden name is Rooney. And I was just like, oh my God. It gave me chills. It still gives me chills because, I might not have had the word exactly right because, I was hearing it differently, but that was awful close, and I just don't believe in coincidence. So I feel like somebody was definitely trying to say something to her, and then it developed into something else, which I won't go into detail because that was her personal reading, but that was just kind of an example as to how quickly I still doubt myself after all of the confirmations and never having someone go, I have no idea what you're talking about. Then, what made you realize that it was a spirit talking to you and that you weren't crazy? Opening my mouth and saying it. My first really hardcore spiritual encounter, which is something that I talk about in my book, which I'll put a link to places that you can buy my book through Kindle or Amazon or directly from my website, which gives you an autographed copy. Just saying. I discuss it in great detail, but basically I had a whole bunch of spiritual visitors all in one day, and two of them gave me very clear messages that two friends of mine who had been trying forever to get pregnant were pregnant and just didn't know it yet. And I was told they were both having little girls and tell them, not to give up hope because everything is happening right now. And so I didn't really know what to do with that information. So the one girl, or one of the two girls, I told because I felt like she was emotionally able to handle that. So I told her everything that I had seen, and she said, who told you? And I described the woman that had been talking to me right down to what she was wearing. And then I was sent a text message with a picture in it of the woman I had been talking to. It was so crazy, and it turned out to be that girl's great-grandmother. So the other one, I wasn't really sure whether or not I should say anything. She was in a much more fragile state. She'd been through, different people just process things differently, and I didn't think she was really able to handle it at that moment, but she's my sister's very, very best friend in the world, so I told my sister. And my sister says, what am I supposed to do with this information? And I said, just so that later, when it all comes out that I was right, I told somebody. And, she laughed. But both of those girls had baby girls within 2 days of each other. And it's just really a super awesome thing, and they both were pregnant at the time that I said that. Neither one of them knew yet because it was too early to tell, and it was just, I don't know, it was the biggest confirmation and the biggest voice saying, hey, you're not totally crazy. Another circumstance that led me to actually say the words, see, I'm not crazy, to my husband, who actually is really supportive of all this, even though it's still just a little weird because they don't have total control over it. The house that we just moved out of was built by a couple who, unfortunately, both of them passed before we ever moved into the house. And we were the only people who had lived there since then. So they had the house built, they lived in the house, they both passed. Their son inherited the house. He sat on it for a while, never lived there, decided to sell it. The people that bought it immediately rented it out. They never lived there either. So it was the original owners and then us. And every time I played Garth Brooks, I would smell roses. Every time I would do certain things in the house that were kind of maternal, I would get like a little pat on the back. Lots of different things that were going on. And because of the smell of the roses and the fact that I had this crazy old lady, like, rose wallpaper in the bathrooms, I referred to that spirit as Rosie, and I just really loved having her around. Well, one day I got this piece of mail, like junk mail from AARP, and it was addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Rose. And I opened it and realized, oh my gosh, that is why I call this woman Rosie. That's what the roses are about. That's what the smell is about. The original owners who had built the house, their last name was Rose. So I actually ran up the stairs of this house, and I am not a runner. If you've ever met me, I do not run. But I was so excited to show my husband that this piece of mail came in, and I'm not crazy. The whole Rosie thing is real. And so yeah, there's just, I doubt myself all the time, and that's something that a really good friend of mine is always nagging me to stop doing. And the more reassurance I get when I do speak up, the more willing I am to speak up. So it's just kind of a process, and I'm getting there. Brandy, one of my fellow admins from the Pagan Mama Facebook page, says, how do you feel about generational abilities? I think it could be very much inherited or learned or run in families. I don't want to say that it's definite one way or the other. I don't know anyone else in my family, or I don't know of anyone else in my family who was a medium. Nobody's ever said anything. But then again, nobody ever told me that we had another card reader in the family until like a year ago. And my family's known that I do this forever. So it just never dawned on anybody to go, hey, your great-grandmother also read cards and tea leaves, and you're not the first mystic in the family. So I could very well be one in a line of mediums, and nobody ever said anything. It's definitely not always passed down, and I don't think that it's specific to generations. I think it's specific to your soul's journey, your own path, when you choose it, when you come back to the physical world. So that's my take on it. Moon Butterfly Amethyst says, how do you explain it to the young ones? Well, both of my children have shown signs of being able to communicate with the dead, and I think that most children are able to communicate with the dead. It's more how well you accept it and what you say to them that either helps encourage the behavior or shut it off. Personally, my parents knew nothing about what was going on with me. We all just kind of assumed that I had imaginary friends when I was little and doing this. So just through the natural process of life and growing up, it kind of turned off for me because, you're told this is not real, this is fantasy, you should not have imaginary friends, you're getting too old for this, stop doing this, make real friends, yada yada. With my children, my daughter used to talk to the spirits literally every day. And I would say, who are you talking to? And she couldn't really make out names, but she saw spirits in the forms of orbs. So she would say, I'm talking to the ball. And we had a process where every night we had to tell the ball to leave her alone. The ball lived inside the light fixture in her bedroom, and if we didn't go through our process of telling the ball that it was bedtime and that she could not play anymore until the morning, she would be up all night talking to it. So it just kind of became a routine. The older she's gotten and starting school, I'm not really sure what the other kids are saying or how much she's said to anyone else, but I don't see it a whole lot with her anymore. And, she knows that she can talk about that with me. Not so great to talk about at school. Luckily, we have a really understanding kindergarten teacher who knows everything about us and has really done well with having not one but two little witchy mediums in her kindergarten class this year, because one of my best friend's daughters is exactly the same as my daughter. So and she has spoken up in school and said, my grandma's here, she's been helping us all week. And then the teacher says to me, hey, is this grandma alive or dead? And well, I had to kind of explain that. But again, really awesome that we have this teacher, because I don't know what we would be doing right now if we didn't have someone so open-minded and so understanding. So in explaining it to children, I catch my son, who's 3.5 now, talking to, I would assume, spirits, or, he could be just playing by himself and talking to the air, who knows. And I say, who are you talking to? And he goes, oh, nobody. And so I try to encourage him that, it's okay if you're talking to somebody. I was just curious who you were talking to, and kind of leave it at that, because you just kind of have to go by their age group, what words you're going to choose. You don't want to tell a 5-year-old, well, you need to not talk about dead people in public, I mean, the words that you choose could really scar them for life or open a new door. So it's all about wording. I'm open to suggestions, because I have no idea what I'm doing with this either. It's just something that I've done my entire life, and I am desperately trying to make sure that my kids don't go through the same process of totally shutting it down because it's not appropriate, and then having it bombard them all at once in their early teen years like it did me, because it's just so hard to take on all at once. It would be easier to process little bits at a time and learn as you go. So that's what I've got today. And again, I apologize for the lighting and the shakiness. I'm trying to get the best lighting I can in the house, but it's dark outside and this is all I've got to work with. So questions, comments, anything that you want to know, I will give you all the links to contact me under this video on YouTube. Take care, have a great day, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.